So now let's add another effect to the scene. Go into Setup, pick our head, go to the Effects, and let's load the Flex effect. That's always a good one if we need to do some deformations that don't care about what resolution your model is. Let's add the Flex effect. We're just going to call this one Sneer Right Curve, and underneath Sneer Right Flex. This curve can stay here underneath our head. Go to the curve options and let's add a point. Now we're inside what you would consider modeling mode, model space or local space, where we're moving everything right from the center of the world to the place that it needs to deform. This is the local deformation. So anything that we're doing in here doesn't care where our skeleton is or where it's going to be deformed at. So curve point 1. And I'll just call this one Sneer Right Curve 1. We don't need to worry about knowing if it's a curve point or not. Let's go to front view, and since it's the right side, move this to the right side. Move it back a little, duplicate key on the keyboard, multiply key. Let's set one in the middle, duplicate that once more, and set this one right at the corner. Make this line up with the lip. Switch to a perspective view and position this right along the perimeter of the mouth. Using the A key to center the selection on the current selection and the middle mouse key to pick the objects. And I'm not changing any of the rotates, just the position of the curve. Since the curve is going to be applying its deformation along the spline and not along the points, I'm using the points just to move the curve around in 3D space. And they're sitting right on top of the lip. And go to the Flex tab underneath Sneer Right Flex. Make sure the axis is set to the distorted tool shape. That means it's going to use the starting position of the spline here as the default start. And we're going to set the upper lip Sneer Right as the weight. Leave the type to static. And look over here and make sure that the bone deform is applied last. Since the bone deform is going to be waiting for everything else to do their thing with the points before it moves the points around itself. So we head into animate now. It shifts ever so slightly, and we can grab these points and move them around in the scene however we need to do some modification of this model. Let's reset the keyframe on that, and let's do the same thing on the left side. I'm going to cheat here and duplicate this to the Sneer, call it Sneer Left Curve. Make sure to call the Flex Sneer Left Flex, and name all the curves underneath it. Make sure to name those 1, 2, and 3 as well. So Sneer Left Curve 2 and Left Curve 3. Now they're sitting in the same spot. I should have used the divide key, but it's not a big deal. Just type in the negative into the X and that moves it to the other side. Now make sure you're doing this in setup and not in animate mode. So left curve 1, just invert the X by punching negative in. Now we've done the left side. Go to the Flex right underneath the left curve and set the weight to upper Sneer Left. Now we can continue down here. Let's just pick Sneer Right Curve and multiply key, and this is lower Sneer Right. And make sure to name the Flex as well to lower Sneer, and name the curve points underneath. Make sure they're named 1, 2, and 3. Lower Sneer Right Curve 3. So we can pick all of these, turn on multi-edit, switch to a left view, and just move them down so you can see them in the 3D view. And they'll match up so that they'll give a good distortion match. And make sure to pick the lower Sneer Right Flex effect and change the weight to lower lip Sneer Right so that it looks at the lower lip meta effector when it's adjusting this character. Do the same thing. We're just going to mirror that across, divide key on the keypad to the lower Sneer Left. Just name everything from right to left. Name the Flex, get rid of these underscore numbers, and make sure these are named underscore 1, 2, and 3, but on the left side. Pick the Flex effect, change the weight that it's looking at to lower lip Sneer Left. We have our sneers that we can close. So Sneer Right, lower Sneer Right, Sneer Left, lower Sneer Left. So then we head back into animate. We can pick any one of these and deform lips in a local fashion to give the lips a different shape. Now go back in and let's unhide our bones that we had created in the previous lesson. Let's just pick the body, hold down the control key, and set them back to edges. So we have something that deforms the object locally and something that will deform the object correctly. And because we go into setup, the bone deform is happening last. The bone deform is going to wait for everything else to do its calculations and then pick the final position of the points and move those around. So into animate, we grab some of these bones, they grab the head, we'll pick the head up, bend the head back, open the mouth upper and lower. I'm just using the middle mouse to pick. And if I pick any one of these, let's go to perspective view, and move them in their model space, they're going to move and be deformed in the bone space. So we're deforming these locally and they're being transformed through the skeleton into the final position. So this is all great and everything, and this is pretty much what we did on the Advanced Facial 1 CD. We're going to take it one step further in the next few lessons and put this control right on the bones so that we don't have to look at a place in the middle of the world to adjust how our character deforms. We can just look at the character, grab the points, and move the points around and have the points be in the same spot that these curved deformations should be in. Let's reset all of these keyframes. Go to Setup, make sure the Dope Master is set to all items, and create a keyframe for all items from Setup into Animate. So we have a default key being created. Let's go to File and save this scene as Local Controls 4.